Welcome back to our channel. Today, we're diving into a fascinating yet concerning topic of invasive animals. These creatures might seem innocent at first glance, but they pose a significant threat to ecosystems around the globe. The first animal is the feral hogs. The feral hogs are the domestic pig's descendants that became wild over time. The absence of natural predators causes this kind of an ecological disaster, thus allowing their population to grow unchecked. The feral hogs can do such extensive damage and destruction with their foraging activities without any predators present. They uproot and eat the food found in the soil to feed their offspring that causes various damages to food crops, pasture, forest, and natural vegetation. The destruction and damage of crops, infrastructure, and properties sum up to soaring figures when the sum is calculated each year, consequently contributing to the overall costs. The next animal is the Africanized bees. The Africanized bees, which emanated from the breeding of African honey bees, gave rise to a new hybrid species. The hybridization where the Brazilians started the experiment in the 1950s while the scientists were trying to find a solution to the low honey production problem in tropical areas. Nevertheless, some of these swarms escaped into the wild and their colonies were subsequently integrated into local bee populations, spreading broadly throughout the Americas. The most well-known attributes of these bees include their extremely aggressive nature. They are more aggressive in guarding their nests and being territorial than most of the other honeybee subspecies. Their capacity to adapt to different environments, both as tropical and as temperate regions, makes them develop fast in invading different geographic regions. The next animal is the Asian carp. The Asian carp has become an ecological matter of great concern in the United States, where this species was first introduced in the 1960s and 1970s primarily for the management of the ecosystem of aquaculture ponds. Thanks to their high breeding rates, they dominate a new environment by a large population level in a short period. They can overtake the native fish species as they compete for food and habitats. Asian carp have few predators. Therefore, their populations grow unchecked. Presence of Asian carp may cause a fundamental change in aquatic ecosystems. As they ingest planktons in huge amounts, they can reduce water clarity and cause a chain of events that begin with visibility issues for popular species. The next animal is the Burmese python. The Burmese python is an invasive creature, particularly in Florida. In the 1990s, Burmese pythons were released from pet owners or could have fled from confinement due to hurricanes or other natural types of disasters. Being in the wild, they started breeding, which led to increased populations in their new home. Nevertheless, in the case of Florida, there is a lack of predators that can cause their numbers to shrink. The Burmese pythons have had notable impacts on native wildlife of Florida. Native species are displaced while population levels of some species decrease, causing disbalances and disruptions to the local ecosystems. The next animal is the Eurasian starlings. The Eurasian starlings, native to Europe, are the typical birds of Europe. Nevertheless, they have developed in many parts of the globe. European starlings will compete with native bird species for nesting places, feeding, and resources. They can even go on to change the balance of these ecosystems by having the ability to outcompete native species for resources and to change the structures of the environment as well. In the agricultural areas, the damage that can be caused by European starlings to crops is significant. Examples of such food crops are the grapes, cherries, and blueberries. Starlings can move in groups that are very large and devour or spoil vegetables and fruits in fields and orchards, resulting in revenue losses to the farmers. The next animal is the Asian longhorn beetle. The Asian longhorn beetle is an insect with invasive traits that originated in China. It represents a critical threat for a number of hardwood tree species, in particular maples. They are commonly moved in contaminated wooden packing solids like crates, pallets, and sheds, which are regularly exported worldwide. Moreover, they are easily carried into new areas where they can adapt to different ecosystems to create their non-native populations. Asian longhorned beetles have a very broad host range, so they can infest and damage numerous hardwood tree species. This adaptability enables them to cope in varying environments and move around rapidly. The next animal is the small Indian mongoose. The small Indian mongoose, also known as small Asian carnivore, originally from India, is now found in islands such as the Caribbean, Hawaii, and multiple Indian Ocean islands. It is a very adaptable predator that feeds on a range of food. These omnivores rely on different prey consisting of insects, rodents, and small mammals. Their ability to adapt and the absence of natural predators in the introduced environment allows for repopulation. They often prey on ground-nesting birds, reptiles, and amphibians. That is the reason for a fall of native birds or even extinction of some of these animals. The next animal is the seastar. The seastar is considered a native species of the northern Pacific Ocean, especially found spread along the coasts of Asia, whereas it is a celebrated species of commercial, recreational, and scientific interest in its native waters. The northern Pacific seastar has also become infamous in many regional waters. The northern Pacific seastar is highly productive. The female members are capable of releasing up to millions of eggs per spawning season. The northern Pacific seastar is a voracious predator. They can eat species of native animals, which leads to local ecosystem disorders. Such adaptability means that northern Pacific seastars are comfortable in many environments, giving them enough support to develop and live successfully. The next animal is the zebra mussels. The zebra mussels are freshwater mussels from the Caspian Sea region. A zebra mussel is a very adaptable creature to different environmental characteristics. They largely encompass the freshwater section and the brackish habitat zones, with a high adaptability to different water qualities as well. Given that they lack natural predators, their populations expand without any control, which adds to their invasive potential. Zebra mussels are filter feeders, but instead of consuming organic matters themselves, they collect and consume famous food particles such as plankton and microbes from water. This formula of the feeding habit may be regarded as positive since it leads to water transparency, but it can also interfere with the biodiversity as it can affect the water of the species that live there. The last animal is the cane toad. Found in South and Central America, the cane toad was introduced to many parts around the world to control pests in sugarcane fields. Treating the toads as a weapon has proved to be non-conventional, an effectively useful method of controlling pests. But once fertilization has occurred, a single female can then lay thousands of eggs in a single breeding sequence. These organisms are able to reproduce much more quickly than expected. Nevertheless, in the new areas without these predators, the toad population spreads uncontrollably. Unless it is noticed on time, cane toads has the potential to devastate the existing biodiversity through their opportunistic and incessant appetite, which must selectively target all kinds of prey, from insects to mammals and reptiles, as well as its own kind. Thanks for joining us on this exploration of invasive animals. Remember, the health of our ecosystems depends on our collective efforts to combat these intruders. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more captivating content on wildlife conservation. Until next time, stay curious and keep exploring.